Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Get ready for 3 new stories in this episode. I hope you like it. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Want what you paid for? You get what you paid for. I was just a witness to this, but I hope you'll get a kick out of it as much as I did. A couple of years ago, our company signed on a new corporate client, Blue Corp. Blue Corp wanted a monthly report about their industry with several custom features. We agreed on a price based on other similar projects we'd done in the past. Our final price for Blue Corp was Blue Corp Reports, 20 pages, $10,000 a month. Red Corp Reports, as above, free of charge. Red Corp was another company recently bought by Blue Corp. There was a bit of work involved in adapting the reports for them, some extra research and changing text and graphs in the report, but since it was a big contract, my boss decided that it would be more attractive to offer it for free. The overall price was very low because it was a big client and we were hoping to get more work from them. Sure enough, Blue Corp liked our prices and we started working on their reports. Fast forward several months and Blue Corp has become a nightmare. They're our worst client. They keep demanding changes or wanting additions to the reports. Nothing is ever good enough for them. The report has ballooned to over 60 pages now, with a lot of extra content that we hadn't budgeted for and that Blue Corp isn't paying for. My boss doesn't like this. We're losing money from this project because we have to spend so many days every month working on Blue Corp's report, but she doesn't want to fire them because they're our biggest client. A small consolation is that although Blue Corp keeps requesting more from us, they forgot about the Red Corp reports. It appears that Red Corp is using the Blue Corp reports internally since the contents are 99% the same, so we decide that until Blue Corp asks, we will not waste our time providing them with the Red Corp reports. Unfortunately, at some point, one of Blue Corp's a-holes comes back to ask for the Red Corp reports. But not only that, Blue Corp has just bought yet another company, White Corp, so they want a report for White Corp too. Free of charge as per your price quote. My boss thinks about it for a while. It was an email exchange, and then replies, our original quote said free of charge for a 20-page report for one brand, Red Corp. Since the project has now grown to over 60 pages and there are 2 brands, Red Corp and White Corp, we'll have to charge you an extra $500 a month to cover the cost of the 2 additional reports. Keep in mind, this was a really low price given the additional work that would go into the extra reports, and it's chump change for a big corp that was spending $10,000 a month on this service. You just have to slap a different logo on the front. You're trying to screw us over. Check our written agreement again. It's free of charge to do 1, so it should be free of charge to do 2. At this point, my boss is livid, so she decides we're going to do exactly as they asked. We were almost finished with the June 2018 report. Boss takes the report, goes through our original price quote, and removes all the extra sections that we're giving Blue Corp for free. She whittled down that report from 60 pages to the original 20. Then she slapped the Red Corp and White Corp logos on it, made 2 different versions, and emailed the files to Blue Corp. Unfortunately, I wasn't a witness to the chaos that ensued. The Blue Corp people went ballistic, calling my boss and threatening to cancel our contract. We had other projects for you, but you're being so unprofessional. Give us the report now. We're in the middle of a very important meeting with very important people, and we need the data, etc., etc. My boss. Yes, you see, you told us that Red Corp and White Corp reports had to be free as per our price quote. So we went back to reread that quote. It turns out we were providing much additional content that wasn't originally in the price quote. This month we delivered exactly what we agreed and you paid for, including the R&W reports free of charge. If you want to make additions to the report, we can discuss it and agree on a price. Blue Corp guy. You're out of your mind. You haven't heard the last of this. A few days later, my boss gets a call from a Blue Corp bigwig who wants to apologize for the misunderstanding with his underling and politely asks for the extra content they need. They negotiate a suitable, very substantial price increase for all the additions they want. We deliver them the 60-page report they want, and we have dealt with a different manager since then. And our next story. I'm the reason for a Walmart employee policy. So, former Walmart drone here. I can accurately say that me, my store, and an ornery manager were the cause of the current clock-in policy. Apparently, we cost Walmart a lot of money on a large scale. So story time. So there are technically two stories here. First one's quick. Basically, we two guys get a stupid amount of overtime during Christmas rush season because all the other loaders quit, like 60 to 80 hours a week overtime, and one was a longtime employee and had gotten up to like $16.50 an hour normally. So him and another loader ended up getting six-figure paychecks because between them, they've worked all of November and December by themselves. One worked days, the other worked nights. Both worked alone and only asked for help when needed for big items. So this is why our store was watched for labor costs. Guys were corporate legends. One guy retired and cashed in all his Walmart stock options that year. He'd saved up like a few thousand shares at $21.20 a share and retired. The other one quit and went to college. My story. Now, current guidelines say you can clock in 5 minutes before and after your shift. Anything longer and you need a manager override. This wasn't always the case. Before then, you could clock in 15 minutes early and 15 minutes late. So what happened was I got to work late one day due to a highway closure. I got a warning and was told I needed to be on time if not early, but this was done in front of other employees and customers because my manager stopped me on my way in the front doors. Embarrassing and uncalled for. Strike one. Now, I worked as a stocker and cart person. Not the best job, but I made more than other similar places in the area, so couldn't complain much. Plus, I got 36 official hours a week. This comes into play later. Now, this manager, after this, was always on me about something. They also tried to get us to break safety policy a lot by going to get carts in storms. Strike two. We refused and told the general manager. So our manager kept trying to cut our lunches and breaks short or not let us come inside on hot days to cool off, which we rectified by hanging out along the back of the store. This was their act of petty revenge for me telling on them. It was also strike three. Well, we weren't having any of it. I decided I was going to be a model employee, even got a valued employee pin from the GM for doing this. This included clocking in 15 minutes early and 15 minutes late. Paycheck time. Wait, how did I get 2 extra hours? Started doing the math. I worked 4 days a week. Since I clocked in 15 minutes early and 15 minutes late every day, I got an extra half hour of work. Every day I worked, which means I got an extra 2 hours every week. So I tell my coworkers about this. We all start doing it. The entire store starts clocking in 15 minutes early and 15 minutes late every day. Every employee in the store got a 2-hour bump in take-home pay. It spreads to the other stores. Apparently, it became a nationwide thing for a hot minute. We caused the stock to drop because of the expenses increased projection. Now, this is normally where the story ends. Nope, there was more. The driving force behind why our policy changed. The district manager. Well, here's the thing. You can't work overtime at Walmart without a manager approving and the payroll peon signing off too. The scheduling system prevents you from getting hours if you hit 40 hours. So at one point, we had an issue. A few employees called in sick, but no one could work because the system wouldn't let us clock in. At 38 hours, we couldn't even work a minimum 4-hour flip shift, 4 hours with one employee and then switch with another. Payroll was told by corporate they weren't allowed to give OT at all. Christmas incident. So our managers had to take over our jobs per store policy. Let's just say it was fun to sit in the cafe watching our manager get carts. Incorrectly, mind you. Now, this was after the clock-in thing had taken off. Apparently, corporate launched an investigation into where the trend started, our store. Now, here's the thing. They couldn't do anything about it, just figure out how to change the policy to stop it or deter it. Now, on the day our salaried managers were working our jobs, the district manager comes in. Not only does he find our GMs working getting carts, but almost 99% of the store employees sitting at 38 hours and unable to work any shifts. There's still 2 days left in this week's pay period. So our district manager immediately gets on the payroll peon, tells her he's authorizing overtime for this week and next week, and to expect a policy update. Well, someone listened. Kind of. I ended up quitting and going back to college after the summer, but before I did, they changed the policy from 15 minutes to 10 minutes, then later to 5 minutes when everyone was still doing it. But yes, I'm the cause of that policy. And our last story. Company screwed my dad out of $20,000. He got back millions later. My dad was in construction in the 80s in Chicago, and when the economy went bust, he was hired by a company in Houston that told him they'd pay his moving expenses after 1 year of employment. He was brought in to be general manager, and the company he went to was having problems he was hired to solve. My dad was very efficient and got things fixed quickly. Soon everything was a fine-tuned machine. When his 1-year anniversary came up, the day before the anniversary, he was let go by the company, and his job went to the owner's son. They told my dad they didn't have to pay him since the year wasn't up. My dad was pretty PO'd about it, and by this time the economy in Houston wasn't so great, so it took a while for him to find a job. When he did, it was for a company that did subcontractor work from time to time for the company he was let go from. As my dad was hired as an estimator at the new company, he had to bid jobs for his former company. As revenge, he started adding money to each estimate. At first, it was just a little, but over the course of the next 17 years, he would add tens of thousands of dollars to each job, even though the money wasn't going directly into his pockets. He did earn much larger bonuses, and his employer realized much larger profit margins on the work from the other company. As my dad was retiring, he did a review of all the estimates he ever made for that company and found he'd gotten $2.7 million from them over 17 years. Now, my dad didn't get that money, his employer did, but that was $2.7 million that would have stayed with his former employer. So that $20K that they screwed my dad out of cost them $2.7 million over 17 years. He called it the greatest caper of his life. He giggled about it often, though, and he felt vindicated. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.